Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. In today's video, we're going to briefly analyze how Michael Olise played a key role in the final third in Bayern Munich's 3-1 win against Chelsea in their Champions League group stage opener. So when we break it all down and we do look at the board, we have both sides operating in a 4-2-3-1. And here we're going to focus on how Chelsea looked to disrupt Bayern and then focus on Olise's battle against Cucurella down the Bayern right-hand side and why it was so impactful to the overall pattern and theme of the game. So when you look at Chelsea, 4-2-3-1 in that midfield zone, it is 3v3, and we ended up seeing Caicedo stealing with Serge, and then Reece James and Enzo pushing forward to close down Pavlovic and Kimmich. From there, you have Neto and Palmer supposed to be dealing with the wide fullbacks, but here you often saw Palmer stepping towards the center back, looking to block off the passing lane in towards Stanisic, and from there you'd have João Pedro dealing with Upamecano. It was very clear that Chelsea were aggressive with their press, and they were looking to ensure that Bayern couldn't build out of the back, and this is where Serge and Kane's ability to drop deeper and pull out markers, or simply drop deeper to pick up the ball in those central areas, or at times we witnessed them even moving towards their own third to pick up the ball, helped Bayern progress their attack and to bypass Chelsea's front six with their aggressive pressing. With Kane and Serge capable of dropping in towards those central zones and retaining possession, whether there be pressure or no pressure on them, that did offer variety to Bayern's build-up, and you would often see Limer in particular in that first half when he played on the right-hand side, pushing forward into narrow positions in the half space and inverting, and he would pull Neto out into areas that would allow space to free up for Olise to receive the ball free on that touchline. Olise did a very good job with his back to goal. Even when Cucurella did apply pressure, he was able to retain possession and drop it off to his teammates. And there were a few occasions where you witnessed Olise do a very good job of retaining possession, evading the pressure from Cucurella, and simply embarrassing him and bypassing him to help Bayern Munich progress their attack in towards the Chelsea half. Given that we've spoken about Serge dropping deeper into central areas to vary his positioning, both Luis Diaz and Olise could do the same, and you could witness Olise's drifting into central areas and allowing Limer to push forward down the right touchline zone, or simply dropping off into pockets of space as well in the midfield area to serve as a passing outlet, and then helping Bayern progress in towards the final third also. But given the manner that Chelsea were pressing, it helped when Olise did shift into central areas, because you would see Limer's aggressive positioning peg back Neto. But for the most part, it was Limer pushing forward into advanced positions in the gap between the center back and Cucurella, looking to peg back Neto. Chelsea were concerned with their midfield battle, so they often looked to have Caicedo, Enzo, and James closing down Kimmich, Pavlovic, and Serge. And in these scenarios, if Olise did receive the ball out in the wide areas, it was often a disadvantage to him when you had Cucurella, Neto, and Enzo shifting across to ensure that it was 2v3 or even 2v2 in some of those scenarios. The most interesting factor about Olise's impact in the final third against Chelsea was that when he went in 1v1s against Cucurella, whether it be him driving towards his right foot and looking to deliver crosses into the box, or him simply receiving the ball in 1v1 scenarios in that right channel and looking to cut across Cucurella to deliver a cross or shot on towards his left foot, whenever you witnessed Olise in those scenarios, he would look to cut across the Chelsea left back, but he failed to beat him or impact or test the goalkeeper, as Cucurella did a very good job of blocking those deliveries or shots towards goal to nullify Olise's impact in the final third. So while it was clear that even with help from underlapping runs that Olise in that 1v1 battle against Cucurella didn't have an impact, whether it be having a shot blocked or simply refusing to shoot on goal, what you ended up seeing was that when Olise dropped off a bit deeper and he had runners breaking into space in the right channel or simply making underlapping runs in towards the half space, he did a very good job of getting his teammates into these advanced positions, and frankly it was simply down to their execution in the final third that prevented Bayern from creating more chances. You'd often see Limer making underlapping runs off Neto in towards that right half space zone, but whenever he broke into those positions, he was unable to impact the game. And there was even a time where it was a 3v3 battle in that right hand zone, and Olise did a very good job of bypassing Cucurella for Kimmich running off Enzo, but even then Enzo did a very good job of tracking Kimmich towards right half space, and he was unable to impact the game in that position. However, there were scenarios where Olise did a very good job of placing teammates into legitimate goal scoring positions, and they frankly just lacked their finish in that area. There was a time where we ended up seeing Kane dropping ahead of the Chelsea midfield bank and switching out the play towards Olise, and that's where you could see Limer making an underlapping run off of Neto, who was attracted towards the ball, and Olise simply wasn't pressed tightly by Neto or Cucurella, and he split the two Chelsea players for Limer breaking in towards the penalty area. He dragged away a recovering center back, and with that last-ditch tackle, Limer dragged a shot inches wide of the far post. And then you could look to an opportunity where Olise drags Enzo and Cucurella towards him, and you could see Limer occupying Neto at the edge of the penalty area, and that's where Kane's calling for the ball as he makes a sharp run across the Chelsea center back in towards right half space. Olise does a very good job of clipping the ball over the three Chelsea players for Kane, but the Chelsea center back does well to make a last-ditch tracking run, and he ends up blocking Kane's effort for a corner. It's no surprise the two opening Bayern goals stemmed through Olise. The first one from a short free kick that ended up seeing Gusto having to come out to defend him, and this is where Olise took advantage of not having to go 1v1 against Cucurella, and he dragged the ball towards the byline and was able to deliver a dangerous cross in towards the 6-yard area that deflected off the Chelsea center back and into the net. And then when you focus on the second goal, it's a good Bayern pressure that forces Cucurella to play the ball around Olise into the path of Limer, who ends up getting to the ball before Neto, and he ends up playing the ball first time around Ento into the path of Olise, who ends up playing a first time ball into a huge gap of space for Kane. Caicedo ends up looking to recover, but Kane does a very good job of taking the ball across his body and forcing Caicedo to foul him for a penalty. Ultimately, in terms of Bayern creating chances in that second half, it was Olise who still was involved in majority of their better opportunities, and they were generated from the same principles that were successful in that opening half, whether it be Olise doing a good job of holding off Cucurella, dragging markers towards him, and playing in runs off of the two Chelsea players so that Kimmich could break forward in towards the Chelsea third and then find Kane, who placed Diaz in a position where he should have beat Sanchez. Or you look to one of their better chances before Kane killed off the game, where it's Olise playing the ball across his marker into the path of Kane, making a deep run towards the Chelsea backline, and from there you have Kane sliding the ball to the advanced right back across Cucurella, and that's where you end up seeing Kane continuing his run to receive the ball back across Cucurella into right half space, and Olise is making a free run towards the edge of the penalty area, and Kane pulls it back into the path of Diaz, who dummies it, and it falls into the path of Olise, who should finish from this position, but he ends up being denied by Sanchez. So as you can see in what proved to be a fairly open game of football for specific periods of this European clash, it was evidently clear that while Olise struggled to impact the game in the final third, individually he still presented several issues for Enzo Maresca's Chelsea side when he dropped deeper and operated as a creator.